Hello everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to Monday. It is on or around April. I guess it's April now, April 6th, 1 o'clock here in California. Welcome to fmtraining.tv. I have to make sure I always say that correctly. And welcome. So you are all here. We're going to be doing a live training session today for 1 hour. In fact, we do live training every day for 1 hour at this time slot, Monday through Friday. We have different topics. If you're interested in knowing what our upcoming topics are, I highly recommend you check out the website, fmtraining.tv. And what you do is you can come to that website, press the live training tab right there, and you'll see the upcoming topics that are scheduled. Some of these topics we are adjusting in flight a little bit to make them better for you. Today we're in our Santa Clara office today. Once again, RCC, a lot of our operations are classified as essential. We do have some customers who are essential customers, and we are required to keep their data systems running. So I operate between two different broadcast stations. This is the Santa Clara broadcast today. So today's topic is on deprecated features in the FileMaker platform. However, before I want to get too far, I want to have a shout out to all the people here that are watching us. That's Elzo. Welcome, Elzo. He's from, boy, I tell you, Elzo's from, Brazil, right? Is that where that was from? He said somewhere. And then we also have Tom from the Netherlands. Awesome, Tom. Welcome. And also Dennis from Canada. That's great. You folks are highly appreciated. IMOG is looking for a new job like a lot of people are. And it's not that he isn't talented. It's just that the way economics are, sometimes things go crazy. So I want to do two cool things before we get into deprecated features, because deprecated features can be, people can kind of take it as a negative because it seems like something's taken away. So I don't want to seem that way, because some of the things in here are really positives because it's kind of leading us in a direction, a kind of a strategic direction for Claris. So before I want to jump out, I wanted to show a couple things real quick. So IMOG had the question again talking about PDF generation and I guess creating the PDF and emailing it. I'm assuming that's what he was talking about. And so I want to call out, in fact, I'm going to mute myself. I can hear myself there. I want to call out that you can, in our training, in our FM Starting Point training, you can open up the training course, and we have a new player that's coming out. You folks will love it. But for the time being, this is the player that you have right here. If you do a search about PDFs, you can look under about all the things have to do with PDFs and creating a report, multi-page appending to PDF reports, and then automatically emailing PDF reports. So the videos are in here. The video that about emailing the PDF is the video is 1814, number 1814. If you look down here, that's where it's at down there. You can watch that video on our paid training. We've also discussed it in the free course here as well. Additionally, if you want to just like not watch the training and just want to like jump ahead and take it apart, if you go into FM Starting Point, the code's in here. It's already waiting for you. All you have to do is pop it open. Looks like we've been already carving this copy of Starting Point up. You're going to look for this script right here, save PDF to desktop. And then you can also, another script is attach or send it out as an email. Send by email. And so what you want to do is watch the script debugger and tear those apart. So you're going to go to scripts, go to the script debugger right here, and then you're going to manually run the script and then watch what the script does. So coming up in future videos, we are going to be diving into more about the script debugger and more about the data viewer. Those two pieces kind of go together. If you missed last week's Action Pack Week, we had a lot of great content, and that content is available up on Twitch. In fact, that's what we're doing with our new video player that you're going to be seeing. Probably those of you who have our paid training, you're going to see it probably sooner rather than later. And what we're doing with this is basically the idea is that we're not going to sell individual courses anymore because it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of hassle, and most people just want everything anyway. And so what it is, you're going to have one video player, and you come in here and you'll be able to select whether you want to look at the Pro information or separately the Cloud 1 information or Cloud 2 or FileMaker Server or FileMaker Go or the live training. So you'll be able to see all the live training in here, right? Pretty cool. So that will be coming fairly shortly. In fact, the engineers are working on that. Today, helping me today is David Castillo. David Castillo, are you there?
Present and ready to go.
All right, so David is helping monitor the questions that we have. It's Brazil, right? And that's for Elzo. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I wanted to answer IMOG's question. He's one of the folks here that likes to come and talk to us, and we really appreciate the conversation back and forth. And so I wanted to give you something inspirational. And let me just speak from the heart on this real quick. It's two pieces. One is that the world needs, and I'm kind of an optimistic guy. I used to be when I was a kid, much more pessimistic, but that's what most teenagers are. I'm a much more optimistic guy. The situation with this stuff is going to get much better. In fact, there'll be a lot of lessons learned from this, and people will do things a little differently going forward. But this whole situation is going to get much better. Not only that, over and above this, COVID virus thingy, whatever, the world needs great applications. They need great apps. They need great things, great apps, pieces of software that solve business problems, that make people's lives better. And I'm speaking to IMOG, but everyone, I'm looking at you right now. The world needs you to be awesome. The world needs you to build great apps. And I really mean that. Periodically, once in a while, people will send me, they download something that we built for them that's free. Because really, when you look at Starting Point, very few people release $1 million CRM for free and just give it away. No one does that. Even Claris doesn't do that. And so what's important to understand is that I've had people in tears come and saying how big of a change in their life FileMaker has been, and specifically the pieces that we gave to them. And it wasn't something we did. We had no idea this was happening, just because of giving things away, trying to help people. And there'll be people out there who need free help, but there'll be also a lot of businesses out there that will be happy to pay you for your time. But the reality is that the world needs you to be a great developer. They need you to build great apps. They need you to listen to the customer, to guide the customer, to keep the customer out of trouble, so the users are happy and they're using great apps. So it's really important to understand that fundamentally, the world needs great apps, and they need developers to do it. FileMaker does not build itself out of the box. I don't think we will ever see that, certainly in my lifetime, and I'm just not even quite 50 yet. And I'm probably going to be doing this at least 15 or 20 more years. And I'll be the old geezer guy. I'm going to get like one of those Professor X-Men wheelchair thingies and run around and use my brain controller to run the engineers. But I threatened to get a wheelchair just to drive my 20-year-old engineers nuts. But the world needs developers to build this stuff. The apps don't build themselves. If you get an app that's already built, then you have Salesforce, and maybe that works for you. But if you have a custom workplace and a custom environment, you need the FileMaker platform. They really people need you. So let's talk about something mildly inspirational. So last night I was working on an app for kind of a family friend / customer, and the customer is evaluating, it doesn't really matter, they're evaluating aircraft and costs of aircraft and the cost per hour of aircraft, and it's people that I know because I'm a pilot, right? And they said, hey, couldn't we have an app that did this? And they're not really, the aviation people are hurting just like everyone else is hurting. So I wish it was a nice paid project. It's not. But we had these thumbnails in there in the app, and they said, well, the thumbnails have to be a certain dimension, right? Or a certain, not just a certain dimension, but they have to be cropped a certain way. In the FileMaker platform, for example, you can take a picture, say you take a picture of me or something, and it's a big rectangular picture, but then you need like a square picture, or you need it with different dimensions on it. So you actually have to crop it. And in FileMaker, there's no capability for that. There's a get thumbnail function, which is really get thumbnails are really poor use of the name for the get function. It should be called get image, get resized image is what it should be, because you can resize things. Don't have to be thumbnails. They could be quite large. And so what we ended up doing is I'm going to go to, boy, I don't even know if it's on this computer or not. Let me see if I can dig it out of here real quick. So I'm going to go to my Dropbox application, see if I can find some stuff over my Dropbox under documents. Is that where Dropbox goes? Downloads, Dropbox, applications, is it apps? No, desktop. Where the hell is Dropbox in this other hard drive over here? Never mind. Sorry, I'm being stupid. And I was looking for a folder, and this is my internal personal stuff. Where was the? If you see anything super secret in here, you're not allowed to like tell anyone about it, right? Yeah, because the CEO's job's never done, right? It's not just I do FileMaker work, but I do all sorts of stuff. Like in presentations in here, I got presentations and stuff, all sorts of stuff that you're not allowed to see. So just like hide your eyes so you can't see anything, right? No one can see what I'm doing right now, all right? This is very top secret, all right? Oh, here it is right here. See if is it in here? Please be in here. Oh, it's in here. All right, cool. All right, now you can see what's going on. All right, so what this is a demo. Apparently this has been out for a while. And what it is, we need the ability to crop a crop software. And so this is something that runs in a web viewer. It's obviously was built originally for in a web application, and you can run it through a web viewer. And of course, that's where things get interesting. So I'm going to open up this application. It was created by, I'm going to go ahead and delete this right here. It's actually as cool as what it appears to be. It was a company, I don't know, I've talked to these people before. Gene.com, if you go to Gene.com, I don't read Japanese at all. Now, about a third of the FileMaker developers are Japanese, or the FileMaker users in the world. So obviously, I almost never interact with them because I don't have any Japanese customers. I almost never interact with Japanese developers unless it's DEF CON. I mean, even though it's like one world and everyone says the world is small, there seems to be this like line of demarcation where, you know, I just don't talk to them. And so I see this demo, and of course I can't read any of this crap, and I don't want to copy and paste it and stick it in a translator, but I just want to tell you about these folks here. They're really great. So this is an open source free demo file, right? So the guy who did this, he didn't write the cropper. He took a web cropper and then tweaked it just a little bit so it could work inside a FileMaker web viewer. A FileMaker web viewer is a FileMaker web browser, right? We understand that concept, and we probably should have a session on that. So check this out. This is so cool. So all you have to do is you say crop the image, and it pops up. And so you can crop the image any way you want. Now, in the software, it's set for a 1-to-1 ratio. You could change that to be like, the one I was doing last night was a 2-to-1. And so all you have to do is change that, and it will give you a different size box. I'm assuming you could not set it, and it would allow you to do anything. But if you wanted like a little square, like the cat's head or something like that, you go in there, you hit save, and it's done. It's really fast. So if I had a picture, I don't know, just take a picture of, well, if we go here, we go to DevCon. I just type DevCon. Of course, they don't call it DevCon anymore. They call it images. Of course, whenever you hit images on the internet, you're likely to run into trouble with, you know. So say this is your product photo, right here. So we're going to grab this. It's on eBay, of course. So that's just really great. So we're going to go here. And so say you had a screenshot. Someone gave you a screenshot. Here's a screenshot from eBay, right? This is so cool. I love this. Awesome. And so the OS, it's going to stick it right here in a second, right? Hello. As I wait. I'm getting old. What is the operating system doing? There. That was like a 1 billion second delay there. All right, so I'm going to create a new record. So I'm in a new record here. That's just a primary key for this record. You drag and drop it into here. You go, man, that sucks. We just need just the picture. All right, crop image. And then you hit save, man. And it's like, touchdown. This is super cool. And FileMaker is really funny. FileMaker has actually come to the realization that the capability like this right here was based in a web viewer. FileMaker had introduced the web viewer in I don't even know what decade that was, but they introduced it in FileMaker 8.5, like way back. And so it's like more than 10 years ago, like probably 12 or 13, 15 years ago. And they've never really done much with the web viewer. And so FileMaker, and finally in FileMaker 19, they're doing stuff to take advantage of all this built-in kind of capability. So really quite cool. Then of course it gives us the dimensions and all this other stuff right here. So that's really great. So yeah, so it's super cool. So there's all sorts of cool things you could do. The other one I saw was a barcode generator one. We talked about barcodes the other day, and this same guy or the same team of people built a little barcode one. Now, one of the things that you look at when you build things in FileMaker is the overall fragility of what you're using. And web viewers, because they are dependent upon the operating system. Really, remember the operating systems, for the most part, with the exception of Chrome's a little different, but the operating system mostly generates the web browser-y kind of stuff, right? I mean, the Safari has this operating, it makes calls to the operating system called WebKit or whatever they call it, and the operating system largely manages the browser. Well, FileMaker makes the same call on Mac and Windows and Go, and they basically build it so the operating system is running the web viewer. And really the idea is that you need to be able to communicate in and out of the web viewer very well, and they do it through URL protocol. Well, that's one of the areas that FileMaker is addressing in 19. It's not a secret. And that is to make the communication back and forth with the web viewer much better, much more reliable. The fragile part still is the fact that you've got some fairly clever code that some person who doesn't even know about FileMaker and probably hates FileMaker wrote this code. This is the code that if I get rid of this and I delete it, it's the code that pops this up. It allows you to go around the screen, have a little selector, make this all work. They wrote this code, and we're taking advantage of it. But this code, if you go back, there's a conversation on the FileMaker forums about this. And this is from the FileMaker community. I printed this out so I would have it. But hey, how do I do? Someone asked this question. So this starts back in 2014. Is this conversation? So 6 years ago, there's this conversation going on. And if you go through this conversation, there's these conversations about, well, you can do it with a plugin, right? You always get these people, I got to do it with a plugin. If you can do it without a plugin, that's always great, right? The problem is that the web viewers themselves are dependent upon the operating system, and the code might change, right? Remember the old days, it was always Internet Explorer, right? IE this and IE that, and then FileMaker, and then Microsoft went away from Explorer to Edge, right? And the underlying technology was radically overhauled. And so will that code, that same Java, render the same way? Well, it would break and it was better. And so largely it seems stable. This last build, I don't love Windows a lot, so I don't use it a lot. But it would be interesting to have this tested on Windows. Someone said, oh yeah, it works great on Windows 10, and I think they fixed it for Windows 7. So it gets into this issue of this guy was complaining 3 years ago, oh, I don't know, it works on Windows 7, blah, 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 but I confirm it works Windows 10, and then they may have been updated, right, or whatever. And it could have been a privilege settings adjustment or whatever. So that's always the trick, is to make sure that when you upgrade to new versions of operating systems, upgrade to new versions of FileMaker, that you're going to check your I always say check the plugins, check any ODBC connections, check your web connections. You have to, so if you have a server that's in production now and it's working, you need to duplicate that to the new version, put it in there and test it before you commit to it. Otherwise, you could get into it. And what if this only worked on Windows and you got onto Mac and it didn't work, or it crashed, right? So it's just actually, yeah, we could discard that. So the whole idea is that you want to test your stuff, which brings us, kind of funny enough, right into this next conversation. Yeah, so iMog saying, yeah, I could, let me, well, it shouldn't be distributed by me. It should go to them. What we'll do is, I don't know if, let me see if we can do a search. What I would do is I go into the FileMaker community and just do a search for this string right here. Technically, it's this topic right here. Well, that's a question. I don't know. I don't know. Does this, well, see, it's a link, and this is all part of that system they use. I would do a search for this and see if you can find that in there. Anyway, so, moving on to deprecated features. So today's topic is really a topic I've never done before as a separate topic, and it's about deprecated features. And we just kind of leaned into that in the last conversation just a second ago, which is FileMaker will remove support for some things, and the trick is that you don't get yourself orphaned on something that's deprecated. Now, it's really important to point out that there is a giant difference between deprecated and removed from the operating system. Those are two totally different things. So if you do a search for FileMaker deprecated features, you're going to come up with this top link, and in this case, Google really got it correct. It's kind of a coherent link of the things that are and we got David here. David, feel free to interrupt me. Okay. Hey, Ed's there. Hi, Ed. How's it going, Ed? Yeah, no, it's funny that we have people watching. There's 14 people watching right now. They just don't comment. So if you have questions, please feel free to comment. Remember, there's about a 60-second, 90-second delay from when I say something to when you see it. When you type it, I will see it immediately, but you won't see the response. That would be the earliest you would see the response. So, so the deprecated features understand that, for example, let's just do 17 for a second because it's a good example. I click on this, and there's a little delay, and then it loads it. And what it's going to show you is the features that are deprecated, which means that FileMaker plans on removing them, but they haven't removed it yet as of the time of that writing. So that writing right there for the 17 was at the time they shipped 17. It doesn't mean that it applies to anything else, just 17. So they said, hey, we'd like to remove a bunch of image formats and things like that. And partly what they do is I think they deprecate things they don't want to support, they don't think people are using. And what they do is they do this, and then they try to see if anyone starts squealing, right? It's like going to the farm and the pigs are squealing. If a bunch of people start squealing, complaining that their favorite gee whiz feature is being removed, I've seen FileMaker remove a feature, and then I remember the conversation with a PM years ago. They removed an export format, and actually I think it was DBF, the format that's in there. It's proposed for removal, this one right here. This was removed like 10 years ago, and the product manager got 42 nasty letters, like physical letters, and he had to go and drop them on the desk of the VP and the CEO saying, hey, these are pissed off customers because you guys removed something they shouldn't have removed, or whatever. And they put the feature back in, right? A lot of times it's just the cost of them supporting it and doing the QA and quality assurance testing. That's why they say, hey, we want to remove these things. And then what they do is they come down here, and these are the things that are actually have been removed. They are no longer in the product. And so they remove some themes here. And they removed all these items here out of Pro. And so inserting, Bento gone, bitmap fonts gone, QuickTime for Windows, it's been supported. Insert sound is gone. I almost never used it. Classic theme was removed, and that's an interesting. When they say removed, I'm just going to point something out. If you have if you have a FileMaker file that was created with the classic theme, either it was created, say, in FileMaker 15, and you went out of your way to get the classic theme. The classic theme is a very, very fat, overweight theme that's very slow. It was the only theme that you could use. It was invisible prior to FileMaker 12. It was the theme. It was the standard structure of FileMaker from 11 and prior. And so then it was something that you could convert from, and we have all videos that talk about speeding up your layouts. If you get rid of the classic theme and rebuild your layout will run about twice as fast, just the way it is. It the physical weight of the layout can go from like a megabyte down to half a meg, and sending that half a megabyte through the internet much faster, especially if you have a constrained network like a iPhone or something like that, or whatever. Even Webdirect, right? With Android devices and Webdirect. So anyway, so you get the I'm rolling around here a little bit on my chair. So these are the items that have gone away. And then always you see references to operating systems being dumped. And so what happens is Apple typically, FileMaker Apple, supports the current operating system and one operating system back. They've supported more than that in the Windows world for a long time, but they finally have gotten religion, I guess, on that with the Windows side. And starting with FileMaker 19, there's not support for Windows 7. Well, I still see people with Windows XP. So, yeah, so you just need to be thinking about getting to Windows 10 and going down that road. So anyway, so these are all the constrained items in here. So once again, you can still have a layout that has the classic theme. I can show a layout that has that, but you cannot select classic theme as a theme to select from. It's been removed as a possible selection. So some of these, it's maybe they were left, but it doesn't really matter. there's a lot of things in here that get removed. A lot of these, almost no one ever catches any of this stuff. Of course, then you have like the FileMaker server. This one here is still pissing people off. I got a complaint today about this list right here, which is the things that FileMaker removed off their web interface starting with 17. Basically, the guy who did this, initiated this whole thing, promptly, before the product shipped, he quit the company and went to work somewhere else. And so he left them with a giant mess. And I told FileMaker we should go have a conversation with this guy, but I'm not allowed to threaten people with violence. So they said I couldn't do that. But basically they took their web interface and they built a new web interface and they chopped everything out. And somewhere along the way, the senior management team at FileMaker was completely oblivious to this, and it got so far down the road that it went out the door, and so they were like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, I said, there are developers who refuse to upgrade to server for years and not buy new license anything until they found a way of dealing with this, and it's never been dealt with. So in order to deal, it's not like these features are gone. It's just that you can't go in there and change them. Like there's still a log, but you can't view it in the web interface. That's actually totally gone. The ability to disable or enable this, ability to do this, ability to do all these things. Most of these features are still in there if you can do the command line, but they were removed from the web interface. Or yeah, you see that right here. Right, so a couple things are actually outright remove because they because of whatever restricting IP. I'm not sure why they got rid of that, etc. But there's a ton of features that they restricted out because they didn't want to build it in the web interface. So sometimes removing things are great. This is just, I don't know, neglect by that product manager, and FileMaker never went around to fix it. So I got a complaint today. Guy goes, he actually, how many hours of time did he waste? For the life of me, I can't find this right here. I cannot find this anywhere. It used to be there, now it's not there. I can't find it. I must be stupid. That's the email I got today. And so it pays to be aware of what's been removed, but not every end user is going to know that. And then I have to kind of explain to them that FileMaker just removed it, and if you want to fix it, you have to use the command line. So it's like a conversation. Who wants to have that conversation? I don't like it. But a lot of things in here make sense, right? We've had a lot of conversations about the idea that FileMaker is going to deprecate, deprecate the ability to, Cloud 1 is being deprecated, so it's officially deprecated. You can still use it through January 2022. We talked about that in our Cloud 2 webinar. And so they're starting to kind of ratchet it back and make it less available unless you're already using it, and then you can kind of keep it for the time being, but eventually it will go away, right? And so basically, this is the idea of deprecated features. Questions. So, okay, so everyone chime in. Feel free to let us know where you're at. I got Sierra 209. Sierra 209, are you there? Got it, thanks.
And then I have two questions from YouTube. One of them about this, and the other one is about the audit logs. I don't know if you want to take both now or wait till later.
Yeah, go ahead. One. Yeah, no, let's answer the questions. I got Zane. Hey, Zane, how's it going? I got Mohammed there. How's it going? And then Nick. Wow, a lot of people here. So let's answer these questions. Let's get going on that.
Yeah, so Zane's question is, hi, Richard. Will all container fields be stored in the DB if they remove the reference only?
Okay, so we cover this in our training. So here's the thing that's important. The file reference only was a hack that broke so much crap. It predates like everything, right? Basically is in the olden days, like before FileMaker 12 or 13 or whatever it was, you had this capability that you could stick a container in, or you could have a file that was somewhere on your hard drive, somewhere here, right? Like if I go back over here and I just hide this, it's not going to let me hide it. Let me do that. I hide that. Somewhere like, say you have a file right here, right? And then you can reference that as a container. The problem is that if you move the file, then FileMaker couldn't find it anymore, right? And you're like, well, isn't that what external containers are? External containers are the FileMaker file. You have your FileMaker app, like here's FileMaker app. So let's understand this. Let's go into FileMaker app. We're going to go to contacts real quick, and we have the image right there. When we ship starting point, all the containers are internal to keep things simple, right? But strategically, as you start to use starting point, you're going to want to go to File, over to Database. You're going to go to your tables. You're going to find, you can sort by the kind of field it is. And you're going to find your containers. There's not too many of them. It's really, this one right here is the one you really care about in this situation. I'm going to say Option, go to Storage, and then say for external. So once again, that feature before is the idea that it just references a file somewhere on your hard drive. And then if someone else is accessing the record remotely, are they going to have access to your hard drive? No, they shouldn't have access to your hard drive. So how would they see it? They can't. And then they get a broken graphic. Whenever you look at the record, oh, it works great for you, me. Oh, it doesn't work great for Sally. She must be a moron. No, Sally just doesn't have access to your hard drive. It's really a bad feature that should have been shot a long time ago. I tell people don't use it because you're automatically going to piss everyone off if you use it. So they're not talking about getting rid of external containers. They're talking about having a random file somewhere that you reference, right? That makes sense? And so I'm going to say save it externally. I'm going to say save it secured. That's all we have to do. And because that'll encrypt it and it solves some other problems. So trust me, if you have a choice and you don't know what to do, choose secure. And so we say secure, we say okay, and we say, yeah, that's great. We say, so it's going to do some transferring here. So it does it, we say okay. So now if I close the FileMaker file, it created this folder right here. So now these two items, wherever they go, if it's on my computer, if it goes to a server, it goes up to a cloud deployment, these two things go together at all times, right? Because in here are the external referenced external containers. So you'll have a FileMaker file. People say, oh, I've got this huge FileMaker system because we put all these images in there. And if they're smart, they can do that. And what happens is you'll have the files right here, and if you get information on it, it'll say, oh, it's 12 gigabytes of stuff. And then their FileMaker file, you get information on it, it's like 100 megabytes. It's small, right? And that's the idea. You want to have a giant, set of external files is fine because there's no performance penalty for that. You want to keep your database size small because that way it allows FileMaker to read and write that data as fast as possible. You don't want FileMaker server or your client trying to hop around the containers that are the images that are stored in there, especially their movies and stuff. Just gets out of hand real fast. Like for example, I have solutions. Like I have a solution where I manage my radio control airplanes back, and I used to do that a lot. I do less of it now. I still fly about once a week. And I have a database in there because I'm really like organized, right? And my database was 50 megs or something like that. But the external containers on it was, I don't know, 15, 20 gigs. And so that's fine. So this is okay. What they're talking about is if you go into starting point here and you go into contacts and I say, I create a new record. See if I can click in here. Can I click into this? Oh, it has this insert right here. So you hit the insert, okay? This is the option right here they're talking about getting rid of. So if I say, show me that picture on my desktop, that screenshot. Remember the one with we were doing the cropping on, right? And I say, only store a reference to it. And you're like, oh, there it is. Okay, great. It's like an external container or an externally stored container because it's not in the system, therefore it must be external. I really recommend you choose your words carefully. Externally stored or remote containers are the new tech. That right there, if I give this file to someone or someone else say this was on the server right now, then you would have, oh, broken missing object. And that's just a fail. So that's what they're talking about, getting rid of that checkbox so you don't do stupid stuff like that, right? So that is Zane's question. And then we have, how do I... Wow. Okay, so that's a wild question there. I think that's from Mohammed, I guess, because suddenly it said Mohammed and now it's, I don't know who it is. It's a name that I can't pronounce because it ain't in English. Sorry, I don't speak or read whatever that is. Is it Farsi? I don't even know what that is. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to Mohammed. Hey, Rich, great video. I love it. Would you? I love her, and you've made me love it more. You need to guide me to videos that discuss FMFP functions. Okay, so I'm just going to take this question real quick since we talked about deprecated features, so we're kind of in a hopscotch mode. We showed you where to find the features. We've talked about the biggest features that are being deprecated: the peer-to-peer sharing and the runtime. In FileMaker 19, the runtime capability is gone. We've talked about that in our live training in the last week. And the peer-to-peer will be going away. The answer to peer-to-peer is to buy the FileMaker developer subscription. So if you want to do inexpensive sharing for testing and you're a one-man band or it's you and one person, get the FileMaker developer subscription. And it's not for production use in a company. It's for a developer to sit and test so you can use it on. Remember, we always talk about using multiple computers like for security or whatever. So you have Pro going here, and you got Go or Webdirect over here. The idea is that you have your 3 clients. It's 3 licensed clients that work with that. So that's how you solve that. So back to Mohammed's question. If I'm going to go ahead and close starting point, if I go back to the video player, we shot a video. So here's the way the videos work. If I actually truly tore apart every last feature of the FileMaker platform, the 70-hour video course would be about 250 hours. And so what we do is we hit all the, like how many times have I had iMog or someone ask me about, how do I do PDFs and email or whatever? That comes up about every 3 days by someone, which is great, which means it's a high traffic question. That's why I already knew that. That's why I have a video for that already set up. So the common things you're likely to do, we already have videos on. Now we have an overview set of videos where if you go down through container fields, advanced layouts, calculations. I think, yeah, right here we have a functions walkthrough. And what it is, it's me and another engineer, I think, walking through kind of like A to Z all the functions. And it was done for 17 or 18 because the functions are basically the same. And might have been for 18. And what we end up doing is kind of, we talk more about the ones that are important to us in our development that we use more. And then there's more obscure ones that will kind of tell you what it is. We'll kind of walk through it. So if you want kind of a brain dump, you could tell what's more important and what's commonly used because we'll spend more time on it. Otherwise, we kind of skim through it. So you're going to watch videos 0820, 821, 822, 0823. For those of you wondering what the hell I'm talking about, if you go to this 1 hour training, I mean, we're going to run out of time. I'll go as long as you folks want to. It'd be like a press, like a presidential press release, press conference. I'll go until the questions quit coming. So we're going to go past the top of the hour. But if you want to know, if you want the training, you can get it pretty inexpensively. Simply send an email to support@RC Consulting. We'll give you $50 off one of these 2 bundles. These are all the video courses here. This is Starting Point Enhanced and the video courses and a bunch of other, like the calendar kit and some other stuff like this. So you can get $50 off either of these if you shoot an email to support@RC Consulting, and we'd be happy to help you with that. So that's the answer to Mohammed's question. Nick, not released video. Okay, so Nick, so I have a question for Nick. So Nick is asking, we did a video. Okay, so it's almost like I need to, if we have time to do that, we'll do this. But the idea is that we, on our website, we show the upcoming webinars, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop into my CMS system. So I have a FileMaker system that drives the, and this is internal, it's not for publication, but if you like this tool, we have this tool available, it's free. But it's a tool that allows me to publish those videos. So if I come over here, and you want to see the upcoming videos, these are records in my FileMaker system. So myself and about 3 or 4 staff help manage these, so I can come over here and see the records that are in the system and what videos are coming up. So I can hit this button here. It says upcoming events, which there's the deprecated one. Tomorrow's on relationships, etc. I can show past events that we just went through. And so go past events. Basics of a CRM. tools over here. April Fool's was another day. Then we come back down here. We had our CloudTube presentation. We had a great, this was a really well done. The Cloud 2 overview is really great. It's more of a Cloud 2, I would say, overview than anything else. And then over here, we have FileMaker charts. Calvin Moserman did a great job with that. There's a free sample file that's in there. Then we have, we did a security walkthrough, custom menus, and then audit trail. So Nick is talking about a webinar from 323. Did he watch that? The other week you did a video, and is there a way to offload the logging? We addressed the offload of logging in there, right? Calvin, we kind of talked about it, but the idea is that when you we kind of addressed it in there. We might want to bring Calvin. We'll bring Calvin back. Calvin's going to be here for the data viewer one. I'm going to recommend that we ask him that question as an open-ended question. The data viewer webinar is Thursday coming up, and Calvin will be the guest star on that one as well. We'll bring that back for him to ask him that question. The answer to the audit trail, let's just shelve that for now. But in the video, we talked about offloading to server. You could do that, but the way they were doing it, the way it was so optimized that generally, because they were using cascading ad records to create the records for you through a relationship. Kind of a bit of a hack. It's a lean design concept. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off in the weeds on that, but let's bring that one up again on that one. David, what other questions we have here? It's a good question answered. A lot of people coming in today. Hey, Brian from Louisville, right on. How do you spell that? Louisville, right?
I've heard Louisville as well.
Louisville, that's right. Don't they have a baseball Hall of Fame there or something like that? They have something there. There's something in Louisville. How can I show? Okay, so there's like specific like how to build stuff in here. I'm going to skip that one just for a second because he's kind of off topic for what we're doing right now. I don't mind getting into that. What we ought to do is probably make sure if we don't answer them, write these questions down as we get back to them or in a little bit. Super, thank you from Zane. How do you recommend external storage, a database that gets to a certain size? I recommend external storage if you have more than 30 or 40, 50 or 100 images in there, right? So as soon as you hit 100 images, just set it. Especially if you're on a FileMaker server, all you do is set it on server and you don't have to worry about it because the server or the cloud 1 or 2 doesn't matter, will just automatically create that folder and park it in there. And then when the server runs its automatic backups, it backs up that folder too. It's awesome. It's so hands-free. This is one of those things FileMaker at the time, Claris now, just killed this feature. It's really, really great. So yeah, I switched to external containers like we do pretty quickly. More questions? Any more questions? Yeah, Mohammed. All right, so we have more than one Mohammed. I have 2 Mohammeds. All right. So Nick was saying yes about the. Yeah, he watched the video. Yeah, we'll bring it up with Calvin. Remind us of the question to save it. I'd prefer that he do it, but I'm thinking what he's going to say is that the way his okay, so the technique I had before, you could do it, an older technique, but they thought that this technique was faster. Doing it through the cascading ads. It's a relational design trick is the Calvin method. My technique was a script trigger method, which you could theoretically offload to the server. And so the problem with the relational design trick is context specific. So the idea is that your client knows what records it can create through a relationship. You can't really transfer that context easily to the server. It would waste a lot of time to do that. So that would be tricky through PSOS to do that. Okay, so yeah, Slugger bats are made there. Yeah, I thought there was Louisville. Yeah, that's what it was. I'm not, listen, I played football years ago. I prefer Europe. I played American football, but I prefer European soccer. I do. I'm a really big guy, so I don't, it doesn't really work well. But I prefer that sport by far. European football or American soccer, I love it. Especially the women's team. I always hated the men watching the men's. The men out there, like nothing hits them and they fall over and I'm injured. I'm injured, quick. quick, throw a red card on the other guy, right? And they're like faking it. So it's like, I figure like if you play men's professional soccer, you're just a paid actor. And I have very little use for a lot of actors. So for me, I don't want to go to acting school, so I don't watch men's soccer. The women's soccer, I'm going to speak frankly, that shit's brutal. I've played against professional level women before. Tough, 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 and they'll kick your butt. And they don't sit there and try to plead the fakery, not like the men do. I see much less acting and more like legit play on the women's side. So those of you in Europe probably hate me saying that, but boy, I tell you, I will go out of my way to watch Olympic women or professional women play, just because I feel like they're trying and it's a legit effort and not acting, right? I don't need acting. If I want to act, I'm going to go watch Captain America or some Hollywood movie, and the special effects and stuff. Yeah, get me started. I'll talk about it for a long time. I played soccer for like 15 years. Cool. So how are we doing over here? We got questions coming up. Boy, is it a problem at FileMaker license runtimes? Maybe. Yeah, so that's kind of what the cost is. So Michael's asking like, well, okay, so Michael's referring to something where we had a conversation where they're getting read at runtimes, but you can build an application. You want to distribute the application. You want to distribute it with FileMaker Pro. If you build the app and it's reasonably professional, you submit it to FileMaker. You send the email to Tyler, and someone will post David, you need to find the email for Tyler Furman at Claris now. And he is the SBA coordinator, at least in this part of the world. If you're in Europe, it'd be a different person, but you can still send it to him. He'd forward it if it's not him. And they review the application. You join the Solution Bundle Agreement program, and then you're allowed to buy FileMaker at a steep discount. Typically, it's like in the neighborhood of like half off, but you have to buy. You can't buy one. You have to buy 30, 50, 100 copies of stuff, and then the prices are in line with what he said there, $50 to $100 per instance. I think it's. Yeah, it's pretty cheap. It's in that range, if not less than that. So it's pretty inexpensive. It should be in that range. So yeah, you can get so you can totally do that. So the problem was we were talking about people who wanted to build an app in FileMaker and like resell it for $9.95 or give it away for free. If you have a product that's $200 or $300 or more, then you can build it with the SBA and make money on that. That's what you want to do. So that's the SBA program, Solution Bundle Agreement Program. Contact person Tyler Furman at FileMaker at Claris, right? Do I have an advanced scripting training session planned? No, I don't. We do have specific topics. So like when we did the audit trail the other day, that was fairly advanced. When we did the calendar, that was fairly advanced. I'll have to look ahead at what's coming up, but we don't have a planned like just advanced. I mean, you want to talk advanced, you're talking about virtual lists. I guess we could talk about virtual lists at some point. Stuff like that. If I say virtual list to Elzo in Brazil, is that what you're thinking about? Elzo's on Twitch saying, hey, do we have advanced training? So I answered Michael's question. Cool, absolutely. So do we have a course on CMS workflow? So are you talking about my CMS files? This is for Mohammed. Are you talking about my CMS file right here that we built? Because if you're interested in that, what we did is, so we built this and we go, hey, there's really a real good reason to have your own control of your own content. If you build videos professionally, say like you're a company, like for example, there's a company that makes tail rotor assemblies for helicopters, real helicopters. We're talking millions of dollars with an S. And their marketing department has got rocks in their head. I could tell you the name of the company, it did piss them off, but it's called Boundary Layer, Boundary Layer Research, BLR. Boundary Layer, that's a engineering term, Boundary Layer Research, and they make tail rotor assemblies for helicopters. If you take yours off and put the new one on, you can lift, say, 500 more pounds of the helicopter, which is a big deal. And so They are on their website, they put links to YouTube. And when people go to that website, they bring up the video on their product, and it's so great. And then they're promptly told by YouTube, go watch all these other videos or their competitors' videos. You lose control of the messaging. It's really bad. YouTube is useful as long as you want to be distracted. If you want to get work done, you need to keep people focused on your message. We use Vimeo for that. You pay them 20 bucks a month, something like that, and they don't run ads for your competitors on your content, etc. So that's why, so we built the system and we said, well, people might like this. So I'm going to go to the FM Starting Point website right here. I'm going to go to the marketplace right here, and I'm going to show you the Video Library Publication Kit. This is the public version of the CMS. You come over here, and it's like this whole thing. It's a free app. It's totally free, right? And so you watch the video, overview video. You can watch a detailed video. You can try it out. Here's another website right here. You go to tryfilemaker.com. This is another website. And it's basically, this is what your content would look like. Although you could change the color and the look and feel, but you know, we have, on the other page, we had vertical records because we wanted to do that. Took a little bit of hack, but this is kind of the standard idea. You can have like a subsection here. You can turn the arrow and see the videos in here. Then you press the button and the video plays, right? There we go. And it's playing in Vimeo, so I don't have to worry about YouTube putting up ads and, oh, go look at the cutest cat tricks.
What is a CRM, and do you need one?
Do you need one? Do you need one? So, yes. So that is the CMS on that if you want to play with that. Do we have a course on it beyond? There's a training video on how it works and stuff in there. Actually, there's like 8 or 9 videos. So the answer is yes. It's in there. If you download, go in there and download it. It's a free download. I guess you said download now for free. You put your name in, it'll email you the link. It's a player, it's an app with different step 1, step 2, step 3, and there's a little video on each one we did. We really went all out on a free thing. That was a really nice thing you did there. All right, really good. Yeah, it's really nice on that. So, yeah, virtual lists. So you guys want a session on virtual lists? Okay, so I see that. So David, can you create a record in there on virtual lists? I don't use virtual lists every day. I built them, I use them, but I would drag in Calvin or someone in there who plays with it every day. Someone who codes all day, every day in that area. We'd bring him in, and then we would have fun. We'd make his life miserable for a while. That'd be fun. Okay, so those are good questions there. I'm going to go back to a couple of these other questions here. Yeah, so, wow, all right. So, okay, so there's a set of questions here in YouTube asking about control of found sets and doing things with found sets. It's basic scripting. If no one has any objections, yeah. If no one has any objections to me spending a quick moment here, 2 things to think about. One, I can show you this kind of control of found sets, right? And you could script it. And maybe that's not answering the question. Is that kind of, seems like that's the question that he's asking over here. He says, how can I show the total records according to the validity of the customer? So validity of the customer is kind of this term, I think, that there's a found set specific to the customer. If we have one common table of 40 records, the first customer adds 35 records and the second customer adds 5. Is it like, so the customer's logging on? I mean, I don't have enough of information here. The customer's logging on. It sounds like potentially like record level security. If you want to know about record level security, we talked about security the other day. We did a little bit of record level security in our, David, can you post the security thread so they can watch in both locations, please? Find the Vimeo link for that and put that in there for security. Label it so they know what they're getting.
Yeah, of course.
And then if you have the training, I would just do a search for security up here. Oh, I did browse mode. You just type in here, don't do browse mode. Security in the search. And audit trails are in here. And these are, yeah, record level security, layout level security. Once again, these are good examples of that, but we covered it also in the live training. So videos 12, 14, 12, 15. Record level security, we talk about that. So if you're trying to prevent two different people from seeing their records, I guess I'm not clear on that. It's the validity. I mean, the question is who put the records in and who's asking for them after the fact, right? So, and then I have more people. That's great, talking and whatever. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation. So yeah, I don't have any. If it's not in English, folks, I can't question and answer the question, right? So moving along. Welcome to the world of FileMaker. For those of you who are late entrants here, we're doing this every day at 1 o'clock. We are actually almost out of time here. I'm ready to wrap up. If we have any additional questions at this point, make sure, yeah, you post those both to Twitch and to YouTube. So that's the video link on the record on the security. So we got into security and talked about a lot of stuff there. Plus, if you're looking for the training, you can get this. If you already have it, you're set. If you don't have it, get the discount coupon. Send an email to support@rcconsulting.com and ask for that. Additionally, tomorrow we are going to be back, and we'll see if you have any questions here. Tomorrow is going to be on relationships. So tomorrow is more of a step backwards in time to more basic stuff. We're going to be talking about anchor buoy, spider graphs, performance. Performance will come into that. Yeah. And that'll be a good conversation there as well. So let's see other questions that we have. So questions, folks. I know it sounds like a pause here. I'm looking to make sure we've answered everything. Yeah. So back to this question about the customers and record level security. It sounds like record level security, but the question is, how are they logging in, right? So when you say, oh, I only want to show this customer these records and this customer these records, well, mechanically, or physically, how are they seeing the data? Are they in a browser? Are they using FileMaker Pro? Are they on FileMaker Go? Are they in FileMaker Webdirect? If they're in a browser, that's a totally separate conversation, right? That is a very deep conversation because you have to basically either code PHP or the data API, and we can have a conversation with people about that. But the data API is what drives this data right here. So for example, we have a CMS right here driving this one. If you go back over to the other file, did I lose it already or did it go away? If you go to let me just close that. If I go to the website called Try FileMaker, make sure you spell it out all the way. Try FileMaker. Be careful how you spell that. What you'll end up doing here is you will. This is the standard CMS that we ship out. It actually has the built-in search in here. So this is all basically PHP-ish stuff, right? So say I want to do a search for CRM, and then I hit return. Then it restricts, now it's restricting, this is a found set of records here, right? Everything in here, one way or another, says CRM in it. What if I say the word trial and I hit return, right? So then it has one record that comes back. If I clear it, it resets everything back to the way it is. So in my system, I can specify whether when you come to this page, what video is here, and I can specify whether these are rolled up or rolled down. By default, we roll down the first one. And then we say down here, if you want to roll these down, you can come and roll them down. But the idea was to kind of expose people to it so they could see it. But this is all talking to a FileMaker server, but we're in a browser. We're not in FileMaker. So it's frankly kind of advanced. It's not Webdirect because Webdirect is not designed for public access. Webdirect A is expensive, one. It's designed for users where you can identify their name specifically. It's not for public access. You want public access, you have to use a PHP / the FileMaker data API. We do have some training in there on that, but once again, that's very much a senior level engineering thing. If you want help with it, you have questions, you want to try to talk to one of our FileMaker coaches about it, you can ask Dr. Pollard about that. you can go to just send an email to support@rcconsulting.com, and you can get a free coaching session. They can help you out with that. So Dr. Paul is asking, ouch, about the video only CMS server. So so let's talk about this strategically. Okay, Paul, I know you are, Paul. You are a troublemaker. I love John Pollard, but he's a big troublemaker because John doesn't want to spend money on FileMaker Server ever. And so I don't know what to tell him on that. If he wants an inexpensive copy of FileMaker Server to do testing and playing on, then go buy the FileMaker developer subscription, right? It's $99 a year. It's the cheapest thing you can get into. So if you build a website, you need to have it on a secure site. It needs to be kind of hacker proof and stuff like that. You can't do that on FileMaker Pro on your laptop computer. That's not reality. It's just not reality. And so you need to use a server. You can use Cloud 1 right now. You can use FileMaker Server right now. Cloud 2 has some serious web publishing problems right now. It just is. And we've engaged with Claris, and they went, oh, yeah, that's a serious problem. We'll have to think about what we want to do to fix it. So Cloud 2 is out if you want to do this stuff. So if you're trying to publish a database with to the public or have public access, you have to have it hosted on a server. One, you have to have backups, you have to have encryption, you have to have all these things, and that all takes money to do that. It's not free. And I know people want to have a free everything, but it just doesn't work that way. So I know John, I love John, but I would recommend if you want the CMS and you want to play with it and try it out, then set up your own FileMaker server and do that with the $99 data. The FileMaker, it's the FileMaker data, FDS, FileMaker developer subscription, right? And that gets you server 18, it'll get you server 19 when that ships in May, and then put it on your either server in the office or have one of our server guys set up for you on the cloud. But they can do that pretty inexpensively. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can't host a website without an Apache server or IIS or something, just the way that works, right? You have to have a server. Even if you rent space from someone else on a server, you have to have a server, okay? It has to have a DNS attached. There's all sorts of stuff, static IP addresses. Yeah, so it's not something you're going to run off your laptop. Because as soon as you move your laptop or shut your laptop down, it breaks it, right? And then you're out of luck, right? So I don't know. Right? So I always love these questions. I'm trying to help people, but I don't understand how you can't get there without a server. Just do. So, any other questions we have? David, questions?
Yeah, it says Webdirect is not for public access. Why? License?
Yeah, okay, so Brian asked a really great question. So, the link on the auto email does not work. Oh, well, Brian, we will get that fixed. You need to hit Haley up with that right away. On why that link doesn't work. Brian, I'm sorry. We will chase that down and fix it. Webdirect. Okay, so Webdirect is basically theoretically a full-featured client. So the clients, the software client is software you can use to access your server, right? Without using a browser. Well, okay, I just screwed that up. Just delete what I just said. If I have a video, I'd say cut, let's do it again, but it's live, so I'm toast. Like, bleach that out of your head. A client is what you use to access the data from your server, okay? FileMaker Pro is a Mac and Windows client. It's what they call a FAT client, but because it's not a browser, it's a dedicated application. Then you have Go, which is the application that runs on iPhone and iPad. Then you have Webdirect, which runs on modern browsers. FileMaker, if you watch our Cloud 2 live stream webinar, and David's going to put the Cloud stream up there for that, for everyone to see that video, FileMaker is going to a model where if you buy a 5-pack of FileMaker, you're going to name the 5 people. Fred, Sally, Dick, Jane, and Todd are going to be the 5 people that are going to access it. And you actually put those people into the Cloud 2 system. They are named people, okay? FileMaker is selling you the software based upon you naming people. If you cannot name them, you cannot, there's no like generic like public Fred 1 in there. I mean, the legal license says you have to be able to name them. In the current Cloud 1 and FileMaker server products, you should be able to name them, FileMaker or Claris Corp wants you to name them, but mechanically the software hasn't caught up. Cloud 2, it actually has the ability for you to name these people. It allows you to the management of Cloud 2 is vastly easier than Cloud 1 or FileMaker Server. Managing that group of people and changing their access and changing their passwords, radically simpler. Please go watch our Cloud 2 overview video that Dave's going to put here somewhere shortly. Please, David, do that right away. And that way you can watch that and we talk about that. So if you can't name the people, then it's not a client you want to use. So really Webdirect is, and here's the other thing with Webdirect. Webdirect only works if you have the latest computer with the latest browser. So if you have someone using, say, for example, Windows 7, and it doesn't have the right browser, or Mac OS 10.13 or 10.12, they don't have the latest browser, Webdirect won't work. And so so Webdirect has a very narrow group of supported browsers, because really what it does is pretty technical. It basically mimics FileMaker Pro in a browser. And to do that, they have to have the latest browser technology, and so they only support the latest. Like they never supported Firefox. If you're a Firefox person, you're out of luck, right? So if you want access to the public, so imagine eBay or Amazon says, yeah, you can shop for Amazon products, but you can only do it if you have a brand new Mac or a brand new Windows box or your latest Android device with the latest stuff. If you have any computer that's older than 2 years, you can't shop on Amazon. That's a non-starter. That's why you can't really use Webdirect for public-facing websites. You have to use the PHP/data, FileMaker Data API, and once again, my team can help jumpstart you on that. We also cover it in the training. We do talk about it at great length in the training, but we're talking about legit code like lines of code, right? And so if you're just kind of a drag and drop FileMaker person, that world is not for you. You're going to need help with that. You can learn it. You're going to need help with it. I come from the world of drag and drop, but after 30 years, I've done enough, coding that I can do that. I have to turn off my phone, turn off all my messaging, and just focus, and then I can do it, right? All right, so there's the video on that. Awesome. All right, everyone. So that's going to wrap it for today. We're 10 minutes over. I don't mind answering questions. I have a very large engaged group today. This is really great. Happy to help. It kind of turned into an open Q&A a little bit, but once again, think about the deprecated features. Check the features that are being deprecated. And the most important thing is if you're going to roll out a new installation of FileMaker, you need to get the new server, install your app on there, then have some people test it. Specifically test plugins, make sure they're supported and they work as promised. Check any web, I don't want to say Webdirect, but web viewer, where we have, a little bit ago, we talked about the cropping of images. Check all those little specialty areas where there's external code that could break. So drivers for talking to SQL databases, ODBC drivers, things like that. This tech right here, like if I take this website and move it to 19, before I promised everyone we're going to test it on 19. It should work, but what if it doesn't? Oh, I don't want to promise people. Then we write up a bug, we give it to Claris, and then they have to fix it. Then we say you can move to the new version, right? That's how that works. You don't want to be the guinea pig, right? That says, yeah, you want to tell the customers yes, and then the customer finds out you were guessing and you didn't really know. That's just bad for you and your reputation. I just really recommend staying away from that. When I pay an hour Cloud 2, am I on 15 minutes or? Yeah, Michael. So you're gonna if you need help with Cloud 2, talk to Jacob Taylor about that. I don't know what he charges on that. Normally, if he does an installation, then he's going to probably bill you an hour or hour and a half or something like that. If people send us tech support, so understand how tech support works for us. If we have someone that asks us a question periodically randomly, we're happy to answer those questions. If we have to log onto your computer to work on your problem, then probably you're going to have to pay for that time. I do have also people who send us 5 questions a day, and they think that there's no limit to free tech support. There is a limit to that. So just understand that, like any business, if it's not being abused, then it's fine. But when people overdo it, then it becomes too much. Because, despite what anyone thinks, the business owners still have to pay the bill for the tech people that are answering your questions. That's me, right? So in order for me to pay that bill, money has to come in from somewhere. So I do enjoy these questions sometimes. So if you have questions about billing Michael, I'm not going to try. I don't know specifically what his policy is. I have some engineers that bill in 15-minute increments. I have some engineers that won't bill you as long as they don't open the keyboard. If they have to get on the keyboard on your behalf, they're going to start dinging you along and in whatever increments on that. So anyway, so just understand that. So if you don't have any other questions tomorrow, we're going to pick up the conversation. It'll be very exciting. Welcome to everyone to fmtraining.tv, where you're going to learn to become a great FileMaker developer. If you listen and you show up every day, IMOG, you have to keep showing up. You can't just give up on us, right? You have to keep showing up. Thanks, everyone. Almost. There it goes.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap. Stands in, throws it left for Amendola. Reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10. Rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.